Now, I asked this question to people when I first meet them. I didn't ask y'all, but I'm asking you guys now that we're friends. So everyone gets superpowers in the world.
Okay.
But it's kind of based on your personality, right? So it's like this huge event, everybody gets superpowers. What are yours?
I think it's super speed. Like I feel like I'm concentrating on slowing down when I speak, and I'm concentrating on slowing down at all times to like navigate the regular world. So I feel like if I had the ability to just like be at the speed I'd like to be, I would feel better. So like, I don't know, speed in some way.
I think so too. You also read like 80 comics a day.
Oh, I would be so much more efficient.
Yeah.
I would double that and be comfortable.
I love that. Okay. What about you, Tyler?
I mean, maybe my name would be Mr. Know-It-All.
Really? No. I think you would have like Midas touch or something. Like he touches things and it turns to gold.
What if every room you enter gets elevated?
Ooh,
I like
a
that,
white carpet comes out.
It gets a little more clean or polished. Like things go into place. Like and there's a sense of like,
You know what? I could use that at my house. Right now. It's a little cluttered.
Is it it's
a little dusty.
Is everyone in the room hallucinating, or does he actually?
I think he actually is able to have the transitory property of elevation. So like his fanciest guy would be the actual power set.
See, I think I like the idea everyone's hallucinating because I'm not that fancy.
In real life,
you have not seen my house. It is a mess right now.
You emit like pheromones that make people trip balls.
Yes, I love that idea.
Also a cool power.
I think that's great. I think I would have some type of like mind manipulation or anything or something like that.
This sounds like a villain, not a hero.
It's not a villain. I mean, you guys
she's
have
always
seen
kind
it.
of talking like a villain.
Her pitches are always a little nefarious.
My Hero Academia taught me that just because your power set seems villainous doesn't mean you have to be a villain. How many times have I convinced you that things that may not be critically received wasn't that bad? Right?
Okay.
Even right now, I'm convincing you guys that I wouldn't be a villain.
I'm just nodding along. I mean, maybe it's your pheromones are just making me nod along.
Well, welcome to DC Studio Showcase. We are your hosts, the super team.
Agreeability, elevation, speed.
I'm their commentator, Frankie Smith.
I'm Tyler Coates.
And I'm comic correspondent Coy John Drew.
So this week, we're continuing with the interviews that we had with the Superman cast. We transported to an undisclosed location, very secretive, very
Fortress
cool.
of Solitude for interviews.
Yes, and we got to interview most of the cast. And this week, we had the chance to sit down with Anthony Carrigan, who plays Metamorpho, and we have Sara Sampaio, who plays Eve Teschmacher. That's exciting.
So I know who Eve Teschmacher is because she's in... she's in the Richard Donner Superman 1978, right?
And that's where she started.
And she was introduced in that as like Lex Luthor's like companion.
Yeah.
Lady
confidant.
Friend. Yeah.
Right-hand woman.
An empire. This?
Miss Teschmacher, how many girls do you know who have a Park Avenue address like this one?
Park Avenue address? 200 feet below?
Yeah. But Metamorpho is deep cut for me.
Honestly...
Is it like I've asked you this before? He's not a villain.
He's not a villain. He's misunderstood.
I consider him a hero.
He's a hero, and actually, I looked it up. He is right now labeled as a hero. I think we're a little loose with that term.
Okay.
Says the person trying to have nefarious powers and manipulate.
I do think we're a little loose with that term.
He's a soup.
He's a soup.
Yeah, there you go.
He is indeed a soup.
S-U-P-E, not S-O-U-P.
Yes, correct.
But with his powers, he could probably make a great soup.
There you go.
Yeah, that is true. What I think is very great about his character, which I feel like Anthony talks about in depth, is it's one of those things where he just always seems kind of sad and annoyed that he got them. He wasn't pursuing them in any way. He wasn't born with them. There are different iterations, and please correct me. One of my favorites is that he pisses off this man because he's dating his daughter, and the guy conspires to kill him.
Okay.
And during that time, he, has his whatever accident and gets his powers.
Okay.
And that man was introduced in Creature Commandos, and we see Stag Industries in the trailer written above. So we've already planted some seeds for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So tell us more about the character.
So he's like 4 elements visually, like quadrants, and he's able to make any compound from any elemental combination. So he's like basically the transitory power of science. He's able to create elements from his own physiology and create from there. But depending on the continuity, like it's either, him mentally saying it or morphing it or manipulating it, but he always has that ability. When he first started, it's actually his 60-year anniversary this year. He started in 1965. When he first started, if I remember correctly, it was just the human compounds. And then as his powers grew, he's been able to just compound any scientific element. So it's a really like the nerdiest of nerdy power. Like it's very scientifically nerdy.
And I love complicated power sets, right? Because at least to me, it feels more realistic when like, okay, he understands the chemical compounds and how things are created, and that's why he's able to morph.
Right.
Even with Superman, I love when they get really scientific, particularly in All-Star, where they talk about like how his powers work specifically, which I think is very, very cool.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think Anthony Carrigan specifically is very good for this character because of how he acts in Barry, which is our shared love.
We love Barry.
In the last season, we see that kind of burden that's always following NoHo Hank. And, he's still funny. He's still kind of snarky and has those quips. But I don't know, like... You see that sadness in him, and I feel like Metamorpho is like that all the time. Like,
I do like that he's a character that's reluctant, and he's got these powers that some people would like fight to get, and
Right.
he's
Yeah.
like reluctantly dealing and coping with it. But that he still has a good heart, so he still wants to use them to help. He's just not seeking it out. And I'm really curious how that translates because he, like, our interview, he's so effortlessly charming. Like he's one of those people that like says something that's so fun, you're like, it just came out of nowhere, and that's gonna be fun with Metamorpho.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with that being said, let's start the interviews. I think your casting was one of my top,
Really?
yeah, I love you as NoHo Hank.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And I was like, this is perfect.
Yeah, I know. It's a great little follow-up,
I think it is. It is a,
Great little follow-up.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
a little
Just a
move
little,
on.
thing. Just a little
Well,
indie flick.
Welcome to the DC Studio Showcase. Today we have Anthony Carrigan, who plays Metamorpho.
Yeah, hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We're so excited.
Yeah. So we've been starting out these interviews by asking everybody their pop culture origin story. So if there's a movie or TV show you watched as a kid that you're especially obsessed with, maybe the first obsession, or something that maybe was like, that's what I want to do one day.
Funnily enough, yes, and it was Batman.
Oh,
with
okay.
the Michael Keaton Batman.
Yes.
I watched that movie so many times, I basically broke the tape. But yeah, it was just, so enthralled with it. Jack Nicholson, Michael Keaton. It was just like, yeah, really made me want to become an actor.
Wow. Okay.
I love that. Now, Metamorpho, would you call him a niche character, Coy?
I would say he's obscure to non-comic fans and
Yeah.
beloved to comic fans.
This is new to me.
This is
So,
he's not everywhere. What do you bring to this character for this film?
Just my typical genius for each role that I kind of, step into. No, I did feel this weight, right? That the real ones knew, right? That this character is incredible. So I knew that there was a big responsibility to kind of come in and, do something that really honors this character. And so, but that lights a fire in me, right? I don't, back down from a challenge, and I really want to kind of, honor the source material, but also bring my own kind of spin to it. So hopefully, people like it.
I love that we've seen so much leading up to your actual moment. Like we had teases in Creature Commandos, we see Stag in the trailer, but the character's like complex backstory meets very existential power set must be very overwhelming as an actor to try to navigate. So when you see those teases and you know what you've built, how as exciting is it for you to know how audience are going to react to what's coming? Like, do you have this feeling of...
It's incredible. I mean, just to know that they're just getting little glimpses. I mean, I love that because, you know, it's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that, you know, I get to do in this movie, and it's such fun stuff. And yeah, but then it's just to kind of tease it out little by little is my favorite.
Now, I heard you did a little bit of prep for the character with comics. What did you read?
Yes, I did. I mean, I basically whatever I could really get my hands on, and it was really important to me, and I think it was also one of the reasons why James hired me, is because this character in particular has, you know, this I don't know, this real kind of pathos to him, and unlike a lot of superheroes, he's not crazy about the fact that he's a superhero, right? He feels cursed by what he has, and so I feel like I could really kind of bring something to that, and it really lit a fire.
Did you add your own like quirk or personality trait to him?
I think I did. I think so. I tend to just black out when I film stuff. It's kind of scary, but it's true. Like, I'll have like an entire day of filming on set, and then I'll walk out and be like, huh, what just happened? Like, what did we do? And yeah, but then, you know, and then I kind of watched it on the big screen, and I'm like, oh yeah, right. That was my choice.
But this character's so heady in so many ways that I imagine specifically blacking out when you're thinking about actual chemical compositions and elemental changes. And there's so much to comprehend when functioning in this power set. What was it like when you were building out from like words on the page, doing the research, loving the character, and then now I need to embody something that is so esoterically interpretive?
Yeah, well, it was a wonderful kind of collaboration, I think, between, you know, getting everything ready in terms of what I'm supposed to do, what's on the page, right? But then working with James specifically on the day and finding these fun things to do. And James is so game, right? To like make something fun. So if you have an idea about something, he'll be like, do it, let's try it, let's go. And so I think a lot was born out of that in terms of like, okay, right, he's the element man, so wait a minute, what if we do this? And James would always just be like, let's try it, let's go. And it would to be in that kind of environment was, you know, outstanding.
Well, something I want to talk to you about is like, you know, we're huge Barry fans. We've already talked about NoHo Hank,
Right.
but you've talked about before Barry, you were kind of typecast a lot as a villain.
Yes.
And NoHo Hank is not a villain.
Yes,
but he's
he is.
so
He's
much
a murderer.
Well, no, I said he's not a villain. I mean, he's
lovable.
Yeah, he's a lovable murderer, and that's the thing. I mean, that character, did that change the way maybe people in casting saw you as a performer, or you even saw yourself?
I think so. I mean, I think, you know, Barry really started out, yes, I mean, albeit a dark comedy, but definitely a comedy. Mm-hmm. And then by the end of it, I mean, it was a straight up tragedy.
It's a drama. Yeah.
I mean, it was a tragedy of like Shakespearean level, right? And as an actor, I mean, you don't get a better, you know, or bigger gift than that, to be able to kind of play every aspect of something. And I certainly do think that it lent itself to me being seen in other ways as opposed to just kind of like a lovable goofball. And don't get me wrong, you know, I was up for a lovable goofball, but it opened a lot more doors for me.
Yeah, especially towards the end. I think we really got to see you like be emotional, and
yeah,
you know, it was very different. Now, in the film, do we get to see you in costume?
I think you might.
I'm so excited. As the one next to the spinner rack, is there a moment that you can tease vaguely? Because I generally don't let spoilers, and even not for the cameras. I want to see it anew.
Okay.
Is there a moment
for you?
For me. You can
for
spoil
you.
it for them, but I'm
If
going to
it's for you,
It's
then-
for me in this death. But
Right.
is there a moment that you had talked about the improvisational elements of like, oh, we could do this, we could do this. Is there a moment you're particularly proud of in your embodiment of the character that we could see on screen of like a chemical composition that informed a story choice, or like a take that went this way because of this idea? Is there anything that you feel like you got to leave a stamp on Metamorpho lore because of your decision?
Let's see. Well, I will say that there's one moment in the movie in which I have to do something, and I studied hard the night before because it was important to me to actually figure out, right, chemically, how to do this thing, right? So hopefully, if you see me muttering certain things, and you're able to lip read and know what's happening, you know, you'll see that like what I'm trying to do is accurate. You know, I mean, don't go asking too many scientists, but but like you know, it seems you know. Just at first glance, like it makes sense.
Biochemistry aside, and that brings
Totally, yeah, exactly. Sixth grade chemistry. That's we'll leave it at
early
that.
chemistry.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
The basic.
I'm leaving it at that. Okay.
I love it. We'll get the girl from TikTok. She reads lips.
Oh,
Really?
that's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll get her exclusively to do yours.
Sign me up.
Do you feel like this was one of the most physical roles you've ever had to do?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it was certainly very demanding because, well, you know, it's a pretty immense physical undertaking with this character, but that also informs the character as well. It informs the performance, and that's one of the things that I love is that like sometimes it can be really difficult to kind of act through whatever it is, makeup or whatever, but I think that that's helpful in terms of the character, in terms of what can be expressed and what can be conveyed.
My last question for you, because I loved Victor Zsasz and that take and the way it was portrayed and that journey. Were there elements that you remember from reading these comics and like growing up and like having this nerddom and the parallels between all these characters? But Metamorpho's a reluctant hero and Victor Zsasz is a proud villain.
Oh, yeah.
Were there things that changed in how you interpret these characters after playing them?
Oh, certainly. I mean, I remember playing like Arkham Asylum before getting Gotham and being like, wow, this Victor Zsasz character's absolutely nuts and like kind of love it. And now granted, that character was very different, you know, in terms of the way it was written, but you know, what I was able to kind of bring to it and the kind of fun that I was able to have and discover, you know, on set. I mean, that was just such a gift. It's, you know, brought me so much joy. So I don't even know if I'm answering your question, but like it's always a really fun kind of journey to, you know, have this thing in mind of who this character is, and then just what unfolds within yourself as an actor and what can kind of change and just the, you know, like the alchemy of it. Wow, I'm really kind of nailing this Metamorpho stuff. I'm just really hitting all of these terms.
The transformation of my experience.
Just the chemistry of it, you know.
My chemistry with others and myself.
Totally. Yeah, but no, it's a really kind of special experience.
Well, you got us locked in. We're very excited to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
really
you so
appreciate
much for joining us. The film comes out July 11th.
And we're very excited for it.
Don't tell anyone. I think you're going to be the coolest part.
Oh my God. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see.
That's the first person she said that.
I'm
to,
not
so I can
capping.
say
That's
that.
pretty amazing.
Yeah. I'm very excited.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
As we go through these interviews, I don't know, it's so reassuring to see how many of these actors embody these characters.
Even his language, like he kept like transformative language and like the way he was talking about like muttering compounds and even like the way he discussed the character felt like he was living it.
And like I said, I knew when I watched Barry that he would be an incredible Metamorpho when they announced it. And I started thinking about scenes where I'm like, he could have totally changed. He could have totally morphed his body or something like that.
I just can't wait to see him in something huge. You know, like he's such a cool dude and he's got all these great roles we love him for, but he's going to be a household name. Like he's in Metamorpho and Superman.
He's stylish too.
I was about to say that shirt. I wanted that shirt.
NoHo Hank was stylish.
He was. Yeah.
You know?
I have to say, like, I've met Anthony before. I've interviewed him before, and like even sitting next to him, I was like, whenever he speaks and it's not that Russian accent, I'm like,
Right? Well, it wasn't Russian. It was Czech.
Chechen.
And also that fun little detail we were talking about before we actually rolled, like he's got these bright orange socks on as a little nod to Metamorpho. And I just love when people care enough for those details.
Yeah, the cast is genuinely excited to be a part of this project. And that's so refreshing to see. That makes me excited, you know?
And genuinely nerdy. Like I love how everyone's got like a different kind of geekdom and passion for different things that all feel appropriate to their character.
Absolutely. Now, next we have Sara Sampaio, and she plays Eve Teschmacher. This is her first big role. And this is a huge film to start off, but she is one of the biggest models in the world.
Yes.
Which
something
is-
I did not know
Yeah.
at the time. And now I'm like, oh, wow, I was sitting next to one of the most famous people ever.
You could see it, and you all will see when you see in this
Yeah.
interview how like stunning she is. But it also fits that, you know, someone who's involved with Lex Luthor, he wants perfection. You know?
The way she walked in the room, supermodel.
Yeah.
I'm like, she was just elegance and grace.
Well, let's roll the tape. Well, welcome, Sara Sampaio. You play Eve Teschmacher,
Yes.
right?
Which
My
is
my New
hardest
York
to
accent.
say.
to say, yeah.
I'm from New York, and so I want to say Maca,
Maca.
Maca,
Teschmacher.
Teschmacher, but it's Macker.
Yeah.
I remember when I got my audition, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get, like, I don't look like German. Is she supposed to be German? And I was like, is this Teschmacher? Teschmacher?
When did you figure out exactly how to say it?
I actually asked one of my managers because he's like a big Superman guy. He's like, oh, you have to watch the movie. And it's Miss Teschmacher. And I'm like, okay, good.
There you go.
And then, yeah, that's how I learned.
Well, again, thanks for coming. We've been starting out all these interviews by asking everybody what their pop culture origin story is. By which I mean when you were a kid.
Okay.
And, you know, what's the first thing you watched, like movie or TV show, that you were kind of obsessed with? Or even the first thing you saw that you were like, that's something I want to do?
Ooh, okay. Because I was like going really back from like I won't go as back.
You can go as
You
back
go
as far as you
far.
want.
We know
Yeah.
stuff. We know things.
Well, if we go like when I was a kid, how long is this podcast? It's funny because one of the like I grew up with an older brother, so we used to watch a lot of like Dragon Ball Z,
okay,
and
yeah.
like we had this one show called like Doraemon that I was really a fan of. But as I grew up, like I think my first TV show that I was completely obsessed with, and I'm like, I want to move to New York. It was Gossip Girl.
Oh.
I was like, I'm gonna
I'm
move
a
to New York.
huge-
I'm gonna marry Nate Archibald, and
Wow.
I remember it was like I was just like obsessed with it.
I think we became best friends. I love Dragon Ball Z. You do? And I love Gossip Girl. I shocked them both with a Carter Basin mention. A couple
wow.
episodes.
It's funny because Dragon Ball Z, like I had this one reoccurring nightmare, and it was because of Dragon Ball Z. You know, like that villain Cell that like sucks
Yeah, he's
people out.
creepy.
So I remember it's like one of the I had it for so many nights, like throughout my whole life, where he would come to my house and like suck the insides of my whole family, and then I would go to my and I would go to my parents' bed and would put myself under the sheets, and he wouldn't see me.
Did
It
it
was
work?
stupid.
Did
It would
you,
work, but
Did you bring any inspiration with Eve from any of the?
Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah, like
Yes.
Bulma or something.
Yeah,
That'd be
Bulma's
cool.
kind of like that vein, right? Like confidant to Vegeta. Like,
Yeah, Vegeta's very Lex Luthor.
wow, your research, guys.
Like you really know Dragon Ball Z. Yeah.
You know, not really. I think I probably got more from Gossip Girl than I did from.
Do you feel like Eve is a Blair type or a Serena?
She's more of a Jen Humphrey
Ooh.
in a way.
It's scandalous. You're looking at
Yeah,
me.
this is deep
It's
cut for me.
scandalous to be
Yeah.
Jen Humphrey. She was like,
Because she's just like happy to be there.
Yeah.
And she's just like wants to like she's just so excited. But I feel like in a way she's kind of like also has looking out for herself like Blair does. So I think she's like a mix. you
now
know.
she works closely with Lex Luthor in the film.
Mm-hmm.
How is their relationship together?
I have a joke that everyone is just yelling at me the whole movie. Like, Eve, get here!
Miss Teschmacher!
Yes, Lex?
She's just very bubbly and very, you know, I think there, even if you see like, you know, she's kind of like a Richard Donner character creation. So there was a lot of liberty to play with her because you kind of only see her in those couple of movies. I think she's only in 2 of them. And she's not much in the comics. So what I've wanted to bring from those movies, it's that childlike nature. Like she's, even though she's part of the bad guys, she's kind of like has this like kindness to her that I really wanted to bring to my version of Eve. And I forgot the question. Sorry.
You were answering it actively.
Nailed it.
You
Yeah.
were nailing it. Yeah, we were asking
But-
what was the dynamic between
Oh,
Lex?
yeah. So, yeah, you know, Lex just wants to take down Superman, and I'm just happy that my boyfriend is rich. He takes me to all these places, and but I actually do have a heart, and I have a, you know, I can actually tell what's right from wrong ish, you know, very like, you know, but like I do like when I do have a line, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you came from the modeling world.
Yes.
What drew you to Superman as a project?
I mean, I've always wanted to act. That was always my modeling kind of happened as an accident, a happy accident, but acting has always been my dream. And I mean, something like Superman is just
Yeah.
the
I mean,
dream. I mean, I got the audition. I'm like, oh, there's just no way I'm gonna get this, you know. It's my first big project, so it's just, I mean, I'm just so lucky to be here. Honestly, I'm just so happy that James saw something in me and trust me with Eve, and it's just honestly been a dream.
Yeah.
It's just been. I don't think it has settled in yet, because even though it's been such a big production, it just still felt like we were shooting some indie movie. The cast was like a family. Everyone's just so amazing, no egos, and everyone just got along so well. And that was something that I was so scared, because everyone is so has so much experience, and I'm like, oh my god, I was like, I don't want to mess it up, and I want to really bring the work to their level. But everyone has just been was so supportive. Everyone was really so amazing, and I think we really felt like we were doing something really special, and hopefully people can see that too. But yeah, I mean, it's just been a dream. It's just I don't think I'm even aware of
How big it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to think about like this being like kind of your first big movie, and I feel like it's such a big event. It's a new Superman, so it's introducing a new generation to this story. And I was sort of thinking like it could be like the first movie that a lot of people see in a theater, especially like, you know, post-pandemic.
Yeah, for
Very curious,
sure.
do you remember what the first movie you saw in a movie theater was and like what it was like?
I don't.
You don't?
I
Yeah.
really don't. I should have asked my mom, because I'm sure she knows, but I'm sure it was like some cartoon.
Yeah, just yeah.
I'm sure it was like some Disney cartoon, but I don't. Like, I remember going to see like the Harry Potter movies, but I don't. But we used to go to the movies quite a lot. It was like kind of like our Friday thing. We go to the mall and have junk food and go to the movies, and but I don't remember exactly what my first one. I'm
Right,
sure
right.
it was some cartoon.
Is there like a comfort food movie that you put on, like that you know is always going to make you feel good? That's like your go-to to like.
Popcorn.
Oh,
sorry,
the,
food?
yeah.
No.
Well, I said
I like
the-
to use that
food.
That's
comfort.
a
You're
that's,
like
I meant like
Popcorn.
The
I meant
movie you just
the movie
played.
that is kind of your comfort food as a movie. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
That's my
okay,
bad.
okay. Popcorn. You know that movie? It's
Yeah.
really fun. There's a few like my favorite movie, my top one that I just absolutely like is Moulin Rouge. And I just put it on and I belt all the songs, and it's like the movie that actually made me want to be an actress, because I was like, I want to be Nicole Kidman,
Yeah.
playing Satine and dancing and singing and looking beautiful, like, so that's definitely I have a hard time like watching movies more than once sometimes, but that is a movie that I can always come back to, and you know, I still cry at the end. Not that I want to give spoilers, but it still makes me cry. But and then there's others, you know, like you can't go wrong with, like Mean Girls and like The Holiday during Christmas time. So I just like easy movies like that.
Yeah, totally.
Well, thank you. First of all, you have incredible taste in film. I love everything you've been listing.
My biggest nightmare is like if I ever get the opportunity to do that letterbox thing that you
Yeah.
have to
Oh,
choose your
the top
force,
four,
then
yeah.
I am gonna like get shit on because it's just gonna be like chick flicks.
No,
and
it's
everyone
fine.
is always like Mulholland Drive and all that, and I'm like.
You're like
I haven't seen
Gossip
all of them.
Girl.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Gossip
Yeah.
Girl.
The real art. And I love
real
that. I
art,
love
like
that.
the
I
real
love
art.
that.
And
Yeah.
you got the nerds of Dragon Ball Z. You're safe.
You're good. You're good. I can't wait for everyone to know that you love anime. Well, thank you for joining us,
Of
Sarah.
course, thank
Sara
you.
Sampaio plays Eve Teschmacher in the upcoming Superman film that's coming out on July 11th.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank
Thank you, guys.
Who would have known she's a Dragon Ball Z fan? I actually held it together. Not only did she mention Dragon Ball Z, but she mentioned Gossip Girl,
Yeah.
Woman After My Own Heart.
Two things that you love the
Yes,
most.
I actually have a Dragon Ball Z tattoo.
Yes.
Yes,
You've
yes.
shown it
Like
to
and
me.
referencing like Cell and specificity, and the DBZ is my favorite anime of all time. Like Vegeta's my favorite anime character. That was just really cool to hear that level of nerddom.
I agree. And I love the idea that this like supermodel
It just like gets off a runway and goes home and is like, yes.
on the next time a Dragon Ball
Exactly.
Z.
Like that intro with the metal music blaring, and she's like, correct.
She's like, that's right. Also, she unlocked a fear of this character, Cell, who sucks up people in his tail
Okay.
and like absorbs them and becomes stronger.
Okay.
So when she was describing this reoccurring nightmare that she has, I was like, that is actually Violet. And now I have that reoccurring nightmare. You know?
I've never imagined Cell in real life. It's so much more terrifying. Like her description of Cell was so much scarier than how I perceived Cell at the show.
Well, now it's time for our showcase spotlight. Tyler, what you got for us?
Well, anytime I get a chance to talk about Barry, I'm going to talk about Barry. I love that show so much. Obviously, Anthony Carrigan's so great as NoHo Hank. Bill Hader, who wrote, produced, directed a lot of it. As Anthony says, it's a very funny show. It starts out very, very funny, and then over the course of 4 seasons, gets very, very dark and has a dark, dark ending. But it is, I think, one of the best shows of the last 10 years.
I agree. There's a bottle episode that's in the 2nd season that I always recommend to people that you can watch without seeing this series at all. And Barry goes, because he's a hitman in the show, he goes to do a hit and he finds out when he gets in the house that the man is a black belt in like multiple forms of martial arts. And it's so freaking good. It's the perfect balance of drama and comedy. And there's a lot of physical and action. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And Bill Hader directed it himself.
Okay, there you go.
Which is amazing. Coy, what do you have for us?
I want to give some love briefly also to that great actor for Gotham and The Flash. She played the Mist in The Flash and Victor Zsasz. But I want to spotlight a comic book this week. There is the summer of Superman in full effect right now, and there's a new Superman series called Superman Unlimited. It is from Dan Slott and Raphael Albuquerque. It has issue 1 out this week. 2 days ago, a brand new Superman title just dropped, and Dan Slott is an icon. He did Spider-Verse. He's done so many giant titles, and I'm really excited to see him further his work at DC with a Superman book. I'm a huge fan of Raphael Albuquerque. There was a free comic book day, issue 0, that came out earlier this month. The first Saturday in May is always free comic book day for the uninitiated in the world of comic books, and it's a great way for people that don't know comics to like try stuff out for free, and they wisely launched an issue 0 there, and they're following it up with issue 1 this week, so check out Superman Unlimited from those two titans of comic books.
Yeah. And I want to highlight Anthony Carrigan's first DC role, which was Gotham. It was a series about Gotham before Batman. So Bruce Wayne is in it, but he's a child.
Right.
And Jim Gordon is actually the main character, which I thought was a very interesting spin. Anthony Carrigan plays Victor Zsasz.
Okay.
And he works for the Falcones. You may know them as the Falcons in The Penguin. Yeah. And actually, Sophia is in Gotham as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's the first live action depiction of Sophia.
All right.
It's a very different iteration and take than what we see in The Penguin, but I love it. It's a bit campier. I love campy DC.
It's like a network campy.
It's a network camp show.
I mean, I love a campy Gotham.
Yeah,
You know,
it is good.
I like a silly Batman.
It is closer to what you would consider like the Michael Keaton Batman
Right.
than to a Robert Pattinson Batman.
I didn't realize you were going to plug Gotham. I'm like, oh, wait, yeah, totally talk about Gotham. I'm so excited. Yeah, like Anthony Carrigan in that show is so very good.
He's very good. He's so charming, even though he is, you know, a terrorist and he's a bad guy. But I mean, you can't help but love the guy.
Yeah.
Even as Victor Zsasz. And I found myself really wanting him to win, even though I knew it went against the protagonist. He's just that type of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's our show for today. Join us in 2 weeks. We have even more interviews.
Who's coming next?
We have Isabella Merced, and she plays Hawk Girl. We also have, who else? I'm sorry. Nathan.
Wow.
Whoa.
Forgot.
Nathan Fillion
Yeah.
as Guy Gardner. Don't cut that. I need people to know my shame that I forgot we had Nathan Fillion.
Wow.
I love that
Who
we've
plays
done the
Guy?
interview, but you just had a jump reveal of your own memory
Of my
in that
own
real time. Like,
interview.
when it comes out next week, you get to live it again.
We also have Nathan Fillion who plays Guy Gardner. No bowl cut. But it's still
good.
It's still incredible.
Yeah.
Be sure, everyone at home.
Now, the movie's got a bowl cut, but he didn't have it in person.
In person, right? I was a little disappointed. But for everyone at home, be sure to catch new episodes of DC Studios Showcase anywhere that podcasts are available, or you can watch us on Max's YouTube, or on Spotify. DC Studios Showcase drops every other week.
And you can check out all of the comics we mentioned today and more, including that free comic book day issue. Should be on there very, very soon at DC Universe Infinite, which is DC's online comic book library filled with hundreds of thousands of comics. I really recommend you check it out. Also, check out your local comic book shop. Pick up some comics yourself. Read some comics.
And if you love the show as much as we love it, please leave us a great review. It helps us get more and more listeners to the DC Studios Showcase.
Absolutely. And if you have any comments or you want to talk to us directly, you can leave comments on Max's YouTube videos, or you can reach out to us directly. You can find me everywhere at Fantastic Frankie, FRANKEY.
And I'm on Blue Sky and Instagram these days under my name, Tyler Coates.
You can find me on YouTube and Instagram at Coyjandreau, COYJANDREAU.
And that's our episode. These interviews are a lot of fun.
It's my favorite part of the job. I'm meeting these great people that are bringing these characters I love to life. So exciting.
And we have so many more coming.
Yes, I cannot wait.
This was an OBB sound production for Max and DC Studios, hosted by Frankie Smith, Tyler Coates, with comic correspondent Coyjandreau. Executive producers for DC Studios, Phil Soponides and Gary Barbosa. Executive producers for DC are Mike Pilata and Victor Diaz. The executive producer for Max is Becky Rowe. The producers for Max is Aaron Kelly. The executive producers for OBB are Michael Ratner, Scott Ratner, Arlen Konopacki, and Toby Lawless. Research producer Sam Harrison. Production manager Kevin Lynn, and the studio coordinator Elijah Matias. The director of photography Heath Gresham. The first assistant camera Chris Piper. The camera operator Ben Cohen. Gaffer, Arthur Garcia. Key grip, Sam Satoski. Key grip, Matthew Seast. Key grip, Alessandro Picasso. Production designer, Francesca Maldonado. Set director, Oscar Huezo. Lead man, Camilo Castano. Sound mixer and editor, Josh Falcon. On-set mixer, Darren Bowling. Composer, Ethan Walter of The Ringers. Post-production supervisor, Mariana Crisostamo. Editor, Jesse Holland. Assistant editor, Mark Alcacid. Hair and makeup artist, Kendall Shannon. Director of Creative Development and Social Strategy, Lenore Castro. Senior Coordinator, Creative Development and Social Strategy, Sharif Bukhari. Host Coaching, John Luce. Talent Booker, Tess Bartholomew. Production Assistant, Terry Kraft. Antonio Cavallo.